Shalom Aleichem, everybody. 5 Divrei Torah on Parshas Emor. Emor to go, 5 to go on Parshas Emor. Let's begin. So the very beginning of our Parsha, V'yomer Hashem al Moshe, Emor l'Kohanim b'nei Aaron v'amarta aleihem. Says the Torah in the context of speaking to the Kohanim and educating the Kohanim about Tumas Kohanim, that the Kohanim are not allowed to defile themselves with Tumah, specifically Tumas Mace, and go to a basic forest, go to a cemetery. So says the pasuk, very meduyak, very specific. Emor el kohanim b'nei Aaron ve'amarta aleihem. A double language. Emor ve'amarta. It seems to be superfluous. It seems to be extra over here. So Rashi points out Emor ve'amarta. Why a double language of amira, of speaking? So Rashi says lahazir gedolim al haktanim. To teach us and educate us. Literally, Rashi means lahazir gedolim al haktanim means that the Gedolim have to educate the Katanim, that the adults have to educate the children on this mitzvah, which we learn out from here that even children, Kohanim that are young, that are younger than Bar Mitzvah, are also not allowed to go to a cemetery. And this is also where we learn that a Eshes Kohen, a wife of a Kohen who is pregnant and may have a son in her womb, is also not allowed to go to the cemetery. It's all related to this pasuk of Tumas Kohanim. But Rav Elimelech Milazhinsk says a beautiful vort on this Rashi. Emor v'yamarta lahazir gedolim al katan. He says lahazir gedolim al katan. What does that mean? Lahazir es gedolim hatzadikim. Gedolim here doesn't refer to gedolim, the adults, but it refers to the leaders. Refers to the tzadikim. Al dvarim ketanim. He says, how do we know what makes somebody great? What makes somebody into a gadol, into a tzaddik? He says, what makes somebody into a tzaddik, it is the dvarim ketanim, the small things, the averos ketanos, and the mitzvos ketanos. It's the small things, the small ways that we interact with individuals. It's the small mitzvos that people don't necessarily see, that we get to do within the confines of our own homes, in the privacy of our own lives. Those are the way that people are made into Gedolim. The Hazir Gedolim al Katanim, to warn the Gedolim. You want to become great, you want to be a leader. It's not about the big fanfare and all the things that make the news. It's about the Dvarim Katanim. It's about the small things in life. Where Moshe Feinstein, on the very same Rashi, has a different comment. Ramosha Feinstein asks, this is thought number 2 on Emor to go. Ramosha points out that usually when Moshe and Hashem speaking to Moshe, it's Vayidaber Hashem and Moshe Lemor. Why, when it comes to the education of the young Katanim, young Kohanim, does the Torah say Emor, as opposed to Vayidaber? So Ramosha says that Chazal point out that there's 2 words for speaking, Emor, or Amira, Amar, and Dibor. Dibor is Lashon Kasha, it's a harsh expression of language, and Amira is a soft expression of language. And he says when it comes to educating our children, we need to be soft. We need to be mechanech them and educate them al-tzad ha'ahava via simcha, love and happiness and joy. It should be the way that we express Shabbos. Shouldn't be, don't do this or Shabbos is gonna. No, Shabbos is so special. We love it so much. And he says this answers a sociological question that many, many people were bothered with when they came to Rav Moshe. And they said, Rav Moshe, I gave up my life. I gave up my parnasa for keeping Shabbos. Every Shabbos on the Lower East Side, I risked my life. I risked my parnasa, and I got fired every single Friday because I wouldn't come to work on Saturday. Why is it that my children did not grow up from? And the guy next door who did the same thing, his children did. He said it was because how you expressed it to your children. Some people expressed it, shver zayne yid. It's hard to be a Jew. It's hard to be a Jew. It's hard to be a Jew. And they said this every single Friday night at their Shabbos table. And if that's what we're talking about at our Shabbos table, it's hard to be a Jew. It's hard to be a Jew. Then that's what gets ingrained into the souls and the hearts of our children. But if we say it's geschmack to be a Yid, it's so special to be a Jew. It's amazing. I love it. Shabbos, tefillin, davening, kashrus. What is chus that we have? Ashreinu matov chalkenu. Then we know. Now that's what that is what gets imprinted on the neshamos, on the hearts, and in the minds of all of our children. Amira versus Divrei. So two words from the first Rashi in the Parsha. Emor is one of the places where we learn about all of the Moadim. And the Moadim begin in a very strange way. They begin with, literally, with the mitzvah of Shabbos. We begin with the mitzvah of Shabbos. Sheshes Yom Taseh Malacha, Uvayom Hashvi Shabbat Shabbaton. Says the Vilna Gaon, and many are bothered. Why would Shabbos be part of the Yom Tovim? Shabbos is not a Yontif. Shabbos is Kiv of Kaima. It's established no matter what every 7 days. Yontif is Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim. So Tmeim HaMefarshim, this is from the Sefer Yagdil Torah. Madua Hiskel HaBemoados Upasak B'Shabbos. Why do we begin with Shabbos? So says the Vilna Gaon, an unbelievable idea. You see from here the genius of the Vilna Gaon. And he says here, this pasuk is an allusion to all of the Moadim. There are 6 Yom Tovim where we can do Malacha. Uvayom Hashvi, but there's one Yontif that we can't even do Malacha on. It's Shabbat Shabbaton. What does that mean? Sheshes Yomim, we can do Ochel Nefesh. We can cook on Yontif. What does that refer to? The 2 days of Pesach. It's 2. The 1 day of Shavuos. That's 3. 1 day of Rosh Hashanah Midaraisa, only 1 day of Rosh Hashanah. That's 4. The 2 days of Sukkot, 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end, Shmini Atzeres. That is Sheshes Yom Taseh Malacha. 6 days of Yontif, you can do Malacha Ochel Nefesh. And on the 7th day, Shabbat Shabbaton, that is referring to the holiday of Yom HaKadosh, of Yom Kippur, we can't even do Malacha. We can't even do Malacha Ochel Nefesh. Unbelievable Gaonus of the Vilna Gaon. Last 2 thoughts for today, maybe we'll do an extra one at the end, are from the Ksav, are about Sfiras Omer. We're in the middle of Sfiras Omer. Today is day 29 of the Sfira. And the Ksav, the Kabbalah says, what does the word Omer mean? What does the word Omer mean? So where does it come from? So last night in the drush I gave, Omer goes back to the Omer in the Midbar, about the man. But here, the Ksav Kabbalah says, what is the pasuk? There's another pasuk that talks about the Omer. It's in Parshas Ki Teitzei, my Bar Mitzvah Parsha. Ki Matzei Ish Goni Nefesh Me'achabi B'nei Yisrael. A man, if somebody kidnaps somebody else, V'his Amer Bo. And then what does he do? How do you get the death penalty for kidnapping? It's that you kidnap somebody. This is not instructive. This is just a halacha. And then you have to sell them to somebody else. Misamer bo. Amira, ayin mem reish. Omer means to transfer ownership to someone else. So says the Ksav Kabbalah of Yaakov Mettlingenberg, one of the Gaonim, one of the great Rabbanim of the 19th century, says something beautiful. He says Omer means to change our ownership. Sfiras Omer, we are transferring our ownership. See, on day 1 of Pesach, who were we? We started beginning a transfer to ownership, right? We started uploading our content to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. We were Avdei Paro. Avadim Hayinu LeParo b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves to Paro in Egypt. And now, the 49-day process of Tahara, of Kedusha, of Sfiras Omer, we are transferring our ownership from Avdei Paro to Avdei Hashem. Visamer Bo. Sfiras Omer is the counting of the days where that ownership is complete. The upload is complete. When we get to Shavuos, we are now no longer Avadim, we are B'nei Chorin, but we are Avdei Hashem. We are counting up to the days where we become completely 100% connected and kafaf to the Ribono Sh'olam and to his Torah and mitzvahs. So beautiful, such a beautiful idea from Ksav Kabbalah. And finally, from the Kli Yakar, I think we'll have time for one more bonus round. Says the Kli Yakar, Shabbos, we have no mention. When we talk about the mitzvah of Shavuos and the holiday Shavuos, we don't mention anything on Shavuos about Matan Torah at all. And additionally, there is no date for Shavuos in the Torah. All it says is count 49 days from the second day of Pesach, and bam, 50th day is Shavuos. Why is that? No mention of Matan Torah, and no date for Shavuos. It says the Kli Yakar, fundamental idea. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to relegate and designate one specific day for Matan Torah in the Torah. If he did, he would be limiting our experience to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to his Torah that he gave us to connect with and to delve into and to share with other people. Matan Torah is not a one moment or one day experience. He says Matan Torah is something that we experience every single day. We should try, as difficult as it is, to connect to Torah every single day in a different way. And I really feel that we are in different matzavim, different situations in our lives. This is a situation we find ourselves now that we've never been in our lives. And I connect to Torah now differently than I did 2 months ago. No doubt about it. Torah for me has been a lifeline. It has been a lifeline in a different way that I've never experienced before in my life. And that's why the Torah, sure, we'll have a day where we celebrate Matan Torah, where we celebrate Aseret Divrei, where we celebrate the Kolos Ubrakim, Vayichain Sham Yisrael Neged Ahar. We celebrate that day. But know that it's really every single day. Every single day should be a Matan Torah. And I think this answers the age-old question of this Sunday is Mother's Day. Why are we celebrating Mother's Day? Really, Mother's Day is every day. And I'm sure all of the parents in the room have told this to their children, and all of us have heard this from our fathers. Why we celebrate? Every day is Mother's Day, or from our mothers, right? Every day is Mother's Day. You're right. But we should have one day where we go a little bit more. We do a little bit more than usual. I think that yesod that maybe Hallmark is trying to avoid came from the Kli Yakar many, many years ago. Really, we have one day, but really the connection should be every single day in a real. Last idea, we have the holiday of Sukkot. We're in the bonus round now. We have the holiday of Sukkot. And why do we celebrate Sukkot? Because of the Ananei HaKavod. We got the Ananei HaKavod, which not only protected us, but gave us air conditioning and took care of us in the Midbar for so many years, for 40 years, but also cleaned our clothing, right? It was beautiful, gave us a coolness and a calmness in the Midbar, in the heat of the Midbar. So asks the Bnei Yissaschar and the Chida as well, that there were 3 Matanos Tovos, 3 great presents that we received in the Midbar. We had the man, the food every single day that we got, the Lechem min Hashamayim, the Be'er, the well, and the Ananei HaKavod. So why is it that we only have a holiday celebrating just one, the Ananei HaKavod? What about the other 2? So says the Chida, something really beautiful. And I think, ask this question at your Shabbos table. I'm sure there are other answers to this question. Ask the Chida, there's one right here, I'm not going to say it. Ask the Chida, I know there are other answers to this question. Ask the Chida, says the Chida, that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take the Jewish people out of Egypt, and you're going to be the father for the Jewish people, a parent is obligated in certain things towards his children. You have to give them food. You have to give them sustenance. You have to make sure they have water, right? So he's going to take a whole nation out. Those are 2 things that are basic, that are base, that are necessary. They're not wants, they're needs. We don't celebrate needs. But to show that HaKadosh Baruch Hu truly loved Bnei Yisrael, and he cared for Am Yisrael, and he had this deep connection and relationship that he wanted to show and go, he went all out, he gave the Ananei HaKavod. And that's why we have a holiday. We have a holiday celebrating that HaKadosh Baruch Hu went all out for us. He went all out for Bnei Yisrael. It reminds me of a story of Shimon Shkop. Shimon Shkop had a student who I think went off the derech. And he never went completely with the derech. And many, many years later, I think he came back. I heard this story from Rabbi Newberger. Many, many years later, he came back. And people asked him, what brought you back? He said, I was spreading, anti-Torah thoughts in the dormitory in yeshiva, and I couldn't sleep in the dorms anymore. So Shimon said, you can't sleep in the dorms, we're going to have to send you home. but it's too late at night. You have to sleep in my house, And he gave him a room, and he said, it was freezing, and in Eastern Europe back then, it was freezing cold outside. It was freezing in the house. There's no heating. They had no underneath cover back then, and my blanket had fallen off. And in the middle of the night, Rav Shimon came back. I got woken up from this, and he put the blanket back on me. And that warmth that he expressed to me at that moment has never stayed away from me. I've had that memory and that feeling, that warmth, not just of the blanket, but the warmth and the love, the ahava that he expressed to me by making sure that I was warm that night is something that I never forgot. And I guess that pulled me back. That pulled me back many years later. And that's the warmth of the Ananei HaKavod. The warmth and the love and the ahava of the Ananei HaKavod is something that we celebrate. In the Chag of Sukkot. We have 6 different beautiful ideas for the beautiful parsha of Emor. Number 1, L'Hanzer Gedolim Miskatanim. You want to be a gadol? What does it mean to be great? It means to be careful about the small things, about the Dvarim Katanim. Or Moshe Feinstein, how do we talk to our children? What messages are we imprinting on our child's minds as we speak, especially at the Shabbos table, but always? What are we saying to them? Positivity, love, ahava. Shisham Tasem Malacha, beautiful vort of showing the greatness of the Vilna Gaon. The Ksav Kabbalah, transferring and the uploading of the ownership from Paro to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what the Omer means. The Kli Yakar, every single day should be a mountain Torah. That's why Shua is not mentioned in the Torah. And finally, the Chidah teach that the holiday of Sukkot is something that we celebrate because it is a day where we recognize the true love of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Wish everybody a great Shabbos.